This is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And welcome to the Snob of West Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. Welcome back, everybody. We are at episode 300. Yay! A big episode. A lot of podcasts don't make it that far, so we definitely want to thank you, our listeners, for allowing us to continue to bring you this content. If you want a little bit of extra, you can become a Patreon supporter by going over to patreon.com/snobblescast. There you can sign up to become a patron. You can also watch the show live as we tape on Wednesdays, and you can also get some exclusive content. So we definitely want to point you in that direction. Also, you can follow us at social media at snobblescast everywhere, and you can head on over to our website as well to watch previous shows, which is snobblescast.com. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into this week's show. We're going to kick it off with a lowdown where we talk all things Apple. Well, just yesterday, Apple launched Apple Invites. And I have to say, there was a lot of chatter and positive chatter around this particular app. And people are pretty excited about it. It's surprisingly sometimes the things that people really get excited about. But what is Apple Invites? It's basically Apple's answers to Evite or Paperless or, any of those type of sites that you can create invitations to events. So what Apple Invites does, it creates and shares custom invitations for any event or occasion using either your own images, your own photos that are in your photo library, or backgrounds, or also images that are generated in Image Playground. And all of these are baked into the app itself, so you don't have to go out and to pull those features in. They are baked natively into this app. It is a standalone app that you have to download from the App Store. And you can only be a host or use this if you have the paid iCloud account, which is basically iCloud Plus. These plans allow you to create these invites. There are no limits on how many events you can create and host. You can have up to 100 participants in a single invite. And what also helps, because it's an ecosystem friendly application, it automatically appears in your calendar app. These invites aren't just exclusively for iOS users. You can be a non-iOS users and get the invitation. And you can also, RSVP and all those good things, either in the app or on the web. So yeah, it's one of those things where I was surprised, but again, not really surprised. People want apps that add to their life and not make things easier. And it seems as if this is one of those apps because people seem to be pretty excited about it. Have you had a chance to download it and take a look at it?
Yeah, I downloaded it. Two other things, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Two things it includes, speak of the ecosystem, is shared albums. So if you're at an event and people are taking the pictures at your event, they can upload them to that shared album. They can view pictures from that shared album, and you can collaborate with Apple Music playlists. So if you've got music at your event, you can use the Apple Invites to share and or give people the ability to, I call it, request music, if not automatically add music to the playlist. If I would assume this is where you need an iPhone, but everything else, RSVPing, I would assume writing messages, viewing the albums, being able to, Apple Maps is baked in, so it gives you automatically directions to where you need to be if it's not at your house. All that stuff built in, and you don't have to be an iPhone user. Of course, you got to be an iPhone user to create it. You got to be a part of the iCloud plus subscription, like you mentioned. But those are the only two requirements. So if you are an iPhone user and you want to get a Super Bowl party at your house last minute, you can send that invite out, and people without an iPhone can go to the web, click on the link, do all the things you can do in like you mentioned. I don't have to reiterate, but Evite, Partiful, paper. I think there was another one. I can't think of another one. But anyway,
Paperless.
Yeah,
It's
paperless.
post something too. Yeah,
maybe. But this puts Apple on the map of something that makes sense, like you were mentioning. It kind of makes sense for Apple to do this. I've been waiting for Apple to do this for a long time. Well, let me not say waiting. I've been looking for an app that can do this without the Evite. You can go to a website and do it, and they have an app. But in order to use the features for real, you got to pay for it. And there's ads everywhere, all over the email. It's a mess, right?
When you're trying to create it, you got to kind of keep clicking stuff to get to the actual thing to let me create this.
Yeah, versus me just getting on my phone, grabbing a picture, grabbing a title, putting in the who, what, when, where, why, send that ad out, all from my phone, real easy. So I've been looking for a combination of this because, some of the events I want to have in my house, I want to give people access to the pictures. So there's always separate apps and hashtag this and do this and download that. Too confusing.
Download this app. Yeah.
People don't want to do that no more. People do not want, if they can't, the most they'll do is open an app or click a link. If you want people to do anything more than those two things, they ain't got it. So Apple does do a good job with this Apple Invites of making it easy to create it with all the built-in, ecosystem stuff. And it makes it easy for people to receive them and, action on them, RSVPs, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, and a couple other things, and another link that we'll put in the show notes as well. You get a couple of additional things you can do, custom notifications. So you can enable push notifications for this app, and it allows you to customize the types of notifications that you get for the invite. It also, if you're concerned about people accessing certain information, like if you use Evite, you can hide your guest list or whatever. So there are some privacy features that are enabled, that you can enable, where it requires approval for all RSVPs before they can be confirmed. You can hide certain details until the guests are confirmed. So say if you're having something and, some people just want to be nosy and say, what's going on? What is this? And don't really intend on coming to your event. You can hide certain things like location, the guest list, pertinent things that you wouldn't want people outside of the people who are coming to know. And, it allows you to create this other thing, a one-time use personal invites for personalized for specific guests, or use a generic link that works for anyone. So that way it, kind of helps if, things kind of tracing back. If you just kind of want to send a generic something where, it doesn't have a lot of details specifically about what it is, it gives you that type of function as well. And I think the other thing that is key, especially for me, because, if I'm trying to change my mind, or if I'm not sure about something, you can do drafts of this. So you can kind of plan ahead. You can start it, and it's like, you know what, I'm not sure exactly maybe the location or that type of things. You can go ahead and build it out and save it as a draft. And then once you have all of your details finalized, you can come back, pop that in, and then send it out. So I think this particular app people are super excited about. And again, like I said, it's one of those things where it gives people useful applications. Stop giving us all this crap of stuff that we don't necessarily need. But, give us things that are going to make our life a little bit easier. Next up, AppleCare Plus. A lot of times it's recommended you get AppleCare on your devices because if you break it, something breaks, drop it, whatever the case may be. Hey, I got AppleCare. This thing doesn't work anymore. Fix it or give me something else. Typically, you can pay the upfront fee. You're done. It's good for 2 years. You're good. Or if you're like some people, you want to kind of spread it out and have to pay that amount all up front. You could do that as well. Well, that's coming to an end. AppleCare is going subscription based. There's only going to be one instance where you can pay upfront fully for an AppleCare plan. And the only way to do that for the, fully upfront off the kind of like subscription based model is to purchase the device online from Apple. So any product that you purchase from the any retail store, nope, it's all subscription based if you want to get AppleCare. And also, you're not able to do the full upfront payment for AppleCare if you purchase it says the paid upfront plans are no longer available to purchase from the device itself. So you can't buy the AppleCare from the actual device. You have to go online to be able to say, I don't want to pay this thing. So pay this subscription. So what it boils down to is now with the subscription-based model, it's going to increase in price as well. The price, when you look at it, is as much as only 50 cents. It goes from basically $10 to $10.50, what is like $9.99 to $10.49. That's the change. And it's for US. For now, what I understand is for the US only. And this price increase of the 50 cent affects both standard and theft and loss plans. So I never thought I'd see the day where Apple kind of want to nickel and dime you, but I guess they're following the trend of everybody else and going subscription based when it comes to AppleCare.
Yeah, it sounds like with the increase of the 50 cents per month, it sounds like that's what they're doing. They're doing away with paying for it up front, paying for it in bulk, and they want you to subscribe to AppleCare Plus. I'm assuming that gives them that sure money in the future versus me paying for it up front. You get it that one time and that looks good on that balance sheet for that month. But then after that, ain't nothing coming from me anyway, right?
Yeah.
This way they get me on the hook for at least the life of the installment plan that most people use. You could consider that subscribing to an iPhone. People are already doing it. I guess Apple was like, yeah, might as well do it for AppleCare Plus too, because ain't nobody really buying these phones outright, with maybe the exception of me. And I ain't enough. So I think they need more people to subscribe to these phones and subscribe now to this AppleCare Plus.
Yeah, like I said, I guess I get why they're doing it. It doesn't mean I like it. I have fundamental issues with all of these subscription-based plans. It's like everything is based on a subscription now. You don't really like physically own things anymore. It's like it's a recurring thing. And it seems like it's on just about everything. And it's just like when I saw this, I was like, oh man, this really sucks. Like, come on, Apple.
I mean, the subscription model, it makes sense. I think we've taken it way too far, right? Yeah. There are some things that I know every single month I'm going to need it. Yeah. I've got my refrigerator air filter on a subscription because I know every 90 days I need a water filter for my
water
fridge.
Filter. Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing with air filter. I got the little square air filter things that you put into the unit. I got those on subscription because I need them. It's not like you can't not get it. But there are some things. This is like, come on.
Like,
come on.
seriously.
Just let me buy it. Just let me buy it. I just want to buy it. And I get it. There's some people that need to break it out, over the course of whatever. But
give the option. I don't want it. Everybody doesn't want it.
Or maybe, I hate to say it, if you can't afford it, you just can't afford it. You just can't. And maybe that's good.
And that's okay.
Right. Go spend your money on something else versus this stupid subscription because it's cheaper if you subscribe and save.
Yeah. I'm so annoyed. But I digress. All right. Apple glasses. We've talked about them before because they are supposed to be a separate item, not the same as Apple Vision Pro, which is the goggles. Well, sad to say, as of reporting on Friday, Apple glasses are dead. To be no more. These Apple glasses were suddenly discontinued. The development for these Apple glasses were discontinued, and they are internally known as N107. According to Bloomberg, this is where we're getting this information from. Apple's decision to end the AR glasses project N107 came after multiple design iterations and technical challenges. So, kind of like my AirPower Mat, they just couldn't get it to work. So they made the decision to 86 it. So apparently, initially what these Apple glasses were supposed to do were they were supposed to pair with your iPhone. And what happened with, I'm assuming when they did the development and the testing and trying to get these things to market, the team came into issues surrounding the way it processes the power. Similar to the AirPower Mat, they had power distribution issues as well, and additionally battery life limitations. And so
That's it.
And so one thing that it sounds like they did try was to pivot to have the Mac connect to the glasses, to give it a backing of a more powerful processor and a larger
But that's
battery.
not how people want to use them.
But how are you going to use these glasses walking around with your laptop? That completely defeats the purpose. That pairing with the iPhone, that makes sense. Even though I would prefer if it was a standalone device, but I digress. But pairing it with your laptop, come on, bro. Who thought that was smart? So all that to say, with this cancellation, it looks like Apple is really leaning into the Vision Pro and making the successors from this current version better, improvement. Assuming they're probably going to be thinner, slimmer. Hopefully they can fix the battery issues that they have with that, because otherwise you have to have that little puck thing attached to it. And based on this article, they're saying that the improved Vision Pro will include AirPods with cameras. Now, why AirPods would have to have cameras, I don't know. That don't make sense. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what they say. But as of this, Apple glasses are dead.
It's the battery technology is not where it needs to be. Display technology is not where it needs to be in order for smart glasses to work. They can't do everything. Like the Ray-Ban, reason why the Meta Ray-Bans work so well, because all they do is record. They record video, they record audio, and take pictures. Not even long video. It's not, I think maybe anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes, I think is the longest you can record. I can't remember.
That sounds about right. It sounds like in the ballpark.
So therefore with the Meta, for example, those glasses, they don't need all of the battery life and the processing power, because right now they're just capturing things. The Apple glasses was going to be, from what I understand, was going to be that display information and listen to music and capture video and audio.
True augmented reality, not virtual, but augmented reality. Yeah.
Display information while you're walking around and looking at stuff. That takes a lot of processing power, takes a lot of battery life. And if they would have pushed forward with that, they could have got those two right. But then they would have been like 20 minutes battery life. And we'd have been like, well, what's the point? Because it needs to last, because they're on my face all day long. So they need to last all day long.
All day.
I should not have to take my glasses off and charge them, every 40 minutes.
So now I got to walk around with the charger, because if you're out doing this, you got,
Right. And wireless charging ain't where it needs to be. It'd be nice if I could shove my phone in my pocket and they wirelessly charge, but we ain't there yet. We are not processing power. We need battery life. We need display technology to get better before true AR glasses can actually make an impact. And Apple was like, well, what you're not going to do is have us out here with a
Looking
subpar
stupid.
product because the technology ain't there yet. So we just going to wait. Same thing with the automated car, the Project Titan,
AppleCare.
whatever.
Yep.
They was like, we ain't autonomous technology ain't there yet. People are
It's
getting
not
ran
there.
over. They get
Nobody
killed.
has it right.
Cars are catching on fire. No, thank you. Y'all can have that. Same thing
Yeah.
with these glasses. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It sucks, but I appreciate it because technology ain't there yet.
Yeah, not there. So yeah, so we'll see if they eventually come back. But as for now, they are dead with my AirPower mat.
They'll
And
come back.
that
They'll come
sucks for me.
back. I think that is a new frontier, glasses technology, AR, VR, whatever you want to call it. I think
But
that
I
is the
think
new
they,
thing outside of
yeah,
AI,
and I
and
think
smart
they need
cars.
to do the foundational work behind that before they can actually get into the implementation of the technology. They need to figure out the cell battery technology. They need to figure out the processing. Though they they need to finalize an R&D sandbox test out foundational technology that is going to go into these things to
I don't even
make
think they
them
need.
usable.
I don't even think they need to do that. I think Apple needs to focus on making batteries better. Once you figure out the battery thing, the processing power, Apple has it. We've got these powerful phones.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. The battery component of this, the cellular battery
right.
technology, they got to
But I
figure
don't think
those foundation thing out first.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, but I don't think it's specific to glasses. It just needs to be period
Oh yeah,
across the board. Battery technologies you better get it for
right.
iPods,
Again,
for
my
the
my my my
phones. Yeah,
pair and my AirPower mat. I'm not letting it go.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Apple,
yeah.
not.
Yeah, that technology's got to get better before
Yeah,
anybody, not just Apple, Facebook, the
everybody.
Nvidia, Microsoft, whomever, Google, Samsung, whoever's thinking about like for real AR glasses, not just cameras on my face.
Yeah,
They got to get together and figure out battery life
yeah,
and display because
yeah,
nobody can figure out the display. And
yeah.
Apple does not want to put these thick ass, chunky glasses on your face with these thick lenses.
That
I don't want
Meta
to wear
showed
that.
us when they
Yeah,
did their
if
prototype.
that was what it is right now, I would pass. And
I
I'm
don't
a
want it.
fan. Yeah, because I want glasses because I wear glasses. It'd be dope to have more information on thing I already use all day long, but I'm not about to get nothing subpar just because I need it, right?
Again, people want things to make their life easier. Period. All right, that is going to wrap up the lowdown. Let's head on into second string where we talk other tech. We cannot get through this show without talking about AI in some form. And our dear friends over at Google have reversed course on their pledge regarding AI weapons. So Google has recently updated its artificial intelligence principles. They did this on Tuesday, which is yesterday, if you're listening to the show live, and it's early this week if you're listening to the recorded show. And basically, they removed the commitments around not using AI technology in ways that, quote, that cause or are likely to cause overall harm. This section regarding these types of commitments have been scrubbed of the revised AI ethics guidelines that Google had previously committed to, and it's not only in designing it and deploying it, but also in use for surveillance, weapons, technology that are intended to harm people. This change was first spotted by the Washington Post and captured by the Internet Archive. So it sounds like Google is like, so yeah, what we had said was we were going to use this AI for good. We were going to have ethical AI.
What Google said was don't be evil. That was their motto. Don't be evil. They were like, we'll be evil now.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can't put the blame solely on Google because
Hold that
these
thought.
Okay.
Yes, you can. And let me tell you why. Big picture here. Big picture.
Okay.
Work with me here. What Google also did was they reversed their DEI initiatives.
Oh, yeah.
That came out as well. Now, The reason why Google says they got rid of their DEI initiatives because Google is what? A government contractor. You know who has been fleecing, getting rid of all the DEI, scrubbing it across the government? Trump and this current administration is hell-bent on getting rid of any mention of DEI, LGBT, all that stuff from its website. So as a result, a lot of these companies that we've seen that are starting to partner up and buddy with this administration, they want those government contracts. So
and in order to get them, they have to go ahead and move that stuff.
They have to, in order to keep and or get those government contracts, because they know this administration is not going to not spend money on what? Military defense. So all those companies that partnered with this, that's going to partner with this administration, the administration says what? Get rid of, we're not with DEI. So all of these companies are assuming, in my opinion, that, all right, we need to get squared up. So when we come knocking for those contracts, Trump is going to give them to us, or Musk is going, or whomever is going to give them to us because we have
we're already in line.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two, what did I say? What is the United States is not going to not spending money on? Military defense contractors. So fast forward to this story, Google is like, maybe we can use AI for military defense because Trump and this administration is going to spend the money that they claim they're saving by doing all these other things that we've heard about in the news. They're going to use that money and put it in military defense spending. Google wants that money, so they're going to do what they got to do to get it, even if that means going against their principles.
Right. And when I was saying that you can't, quote unquote, fully blame it on them, I said that because they updated these guidelines because their competitors, other AI developers, other companies who are doing the same type of work have changed theirs as well. Meta's Llama, OpenAI's ChatGPT. These are two of the biggest AI creators, LLM, natural language process, all of those, buzzwords around that. Llama and ChatGPT are two of the hugest, and they have already acquiesced to this. So what Google is doing is trying to keep up with the competition. If they are going to be in this space, these two big heavyweights have already, like I said, acquiesced to the demands of this current administration. So they're like, well, they're doing it. We're going to have to compete with them for these contracts. So, we have to do it too. So again, I say this to say that Google, Meta, OpenAI, even Amazon, because they make AI software, they're government contractors as well. Anthropic. So all of these huge AI-based companies have U.S. military and intelligence contracts with the federal government. So Google is just, it seems like the last one to kind of come on board with saying, you know what, we're going to set our do no harm principles to the side because we got to get this money. And our competitors are doing it. So in order to compete with them and in order to be able to get this money, this is what we have to do. So they are the latest in the string of people who have decided to take this route. And, I think what the unfortunate thing is, it's being made a big deal because Google is doing it. And some of the other folks are kind of skating under the radar. Because in this article, it kind of threw it in there at the end that, oh yeah, by the way, it's not just Google, it's Meta, it's OpenAI, it's Amazon, it's Anthropic, it's all these other people too. So, hey, it's the norm now. So, I think what all this does is makes us less safe. It shows that people are willing to step away from their core values. But, if you were a snobist, you will hear the conversation where we talked about, how it's all about business and people are going to do what it takes for their business to be successful and make money. We talked about it from a different industry, but it all applies.
It's just greed.
So, yeah.
It's just greed.
Corporate greed and capitalism.
They make millions and billions of dollars every year. And I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they could at the very least ignore some of these quote unquote executive orders and all the stuff coming out of this administration. But it seems like they're tripping over themselves to comply. And I don't know about y'all, but that sends a message to me. That message to me says you are more, and rightfully so, your business, corporations, capitalism, I get it. But also I get it. You're more concerned about your pockets than my well-being. So guess what? Yeah. I peep game now. So
I know what you about.
Now it's my turn to respond. Now, again, I can't do nothing personally that's going to make Google be like, hey, Brother Tech said so-and-so and so-and-so on this little funky podcast. Back off. So we need to pay attention to what's going on, right? Now, I'm not saying that. But at the same time, somebody asked me, well, why don't you use Google products? Or why don't you whatever the case may be? I'm going to be like, exhibit A, B, and C.
Small instances of rebellion. It's one of those things where you can't, they tell people all the time, it's like people feel bad. It's like, I want to change the world, but I don't know how. And it's like, start locally. Go and volunteer at your local food bank. That may not have an implication worldwide, but it makes a difference in your immediate vicinity. And that's the thing. You have to find, personal instances of rebellion and principle for yourself and stick to those. It may not make, like you said, it may not make a difference worldwide, but it makes a difference to you. And it gives you, a certain kind of gravitas, a certain type of, I'm sticking it to the man type of thing, that this is what I can do to help injustice that is, being perpetrated against me as an individual, as a part of society. So it's one of those things where it's like, I have to do my part and this is what it is.
Or at the very least, when this all falls on its face,
which it will,
and these companies come crawling back, we can be like, nah, man, stay on over there with your military, whatever, and stay over there with your now you want to reshape and read. Stay over there with that. Stay. What the kids say,
stand on business. That's what you said. Stand on it. 10 toes down. So yeah, again, find your small acts of rebellion wherever you can get them. Let's go into For the Culture, where we talk things socially relevant that are going on around us in our society, in our community. And we're going to go ahead and kick it off again. We are in February, the first week of February, which is Black History Month. We are both Black and we celebrate. So we're going to do our annual tradition of Teching While Black, and we're going to kick it off with this week's highlightee. And I have to say, the last couple of years that we've done this, we've kind of talked about current innovators. I want to take it back a little bit and let's do some history. It seems like history is being erased in this country, especially as it relates to Black people. So we want to definitely highlight some people that you should know about who helped provide the technology that we use in this country today. So we're going to start with Frank Greene. He is often hailed as one of the first Black technologists. He developed high-speed semiconductor computer memory systems in the 1960s at Fairchild Semiconductor R&D Labs. He will later go on to start 2 technology companies of his own. He also founded a VC firm called New Vista Capital, which focused on minority and female-led companies. His legacy as a technologist and investor lives on today. He is among the 63 inductees in the Silicon Valley Engineering Council Hall of Fame. He also was one of the first Black students to earn a bachelor's degree from Washington University in St. Louis. And he also earned his master's at Purdue University. And he was also in the Air Force, reaching the rank of captain. And to let you know how recent this is, this man, Frank Greene, he passed in 2009. So this is one of those things where he it wasn't that long ago that we had this type of person. He got a PhD in electrical engineering in the 1970s. So definitely want to highlight him and thank him for his contribution in the semiconductor space, because everything we use now uses semiconductors, from our vehicles to our refrigerators to our phones to basically everything we use in modern technology.
Well, he's got his, what is it, DNA on everything.
Absolutely. All right, let's head into something that's going on in TikTok. We know that there are issues with accessing TikTok if you did not already have it. But again, as I mentioned when I was kind of introing Teching While Black, it seems as if the history of Black people in this country is being erased at some of the highest levels because of the current administration that we have. So there are some Black educators, particularly starting with Dr. Barlow. She basically started kind of like this educational revolution on TikTok. And they've dubbed it HillmanTok University. If you are aware, Hillman is the fictitious college in the Cosby Show pantheon. So it's Cosby Show, A Different World. And so it's basically teaching courses via TikTok on everything from African-American history to financial literacy. So again, like I said, Dr. Barlow, she is an actual African-American studies professor. She is at AmFam Studies on TikTok, and she uses platform TikTok to engage her students about assignments and class-related announcements. So she did a viral video, which was entitled "Welcome to Intro African American Studies Spring 2025." Mm-hmm. So she basically put her course on TikTok
inadvertently.
And because inadvertently, yeah,
mm-hmm.
This wasn't something that she planned to do to draw attention. She's a professor. She has Gen Z in her classrooms, and so she's trying to engage them. So she's like, let's put this on TikTok. And what happened was, people doing what people do, especially on social media, people playfully pretended to enroll in her classes.
Right. And quick, what I mean by inadvertently, the story I heard was she wasn't even trying to blast it to TikTok general population. She thought she was just broadcasting this to her students. On TikTok. I don't know if she created a group. I don't know if she added them individually. Whatever was happening, she thought she was doing this whole presentation just to her students. Come to find out, she's broadcasting it to all of TikTok.
The rest is history. Right. And so what ended up happening was other educators start doing the same thing. So they would create courses under the hashtag HillmanTok with syllabi, reading material, all of these things that you would find in a traditional university classroom is now on social media under, HillmanTok. And it's one of those things where unexpected goodness coming out of something so pure. And it sounds like this professor probably didn't really know how to use TikTok so much. And it kind of inadvertently got blasted to everybody instead of just the people who she thought it was. And then the other professors, getting in on this, and then people, pretending to enroll in these classes. But what this is doing is providing an outlet for actual education, when we just had yesterday a new executive order to get rid of the freaking Department of Education, the whole Department of Education for this country. So it's one of those things where I wanted to, highlight something positive out of this, where people can actually, because we already know, we talked about subscription-based stuff before. It's one of those things where people's attention spans are short, and, they are pulling all of these materials from books. They are scrubbing the internet for anything related to quote unquote DEI, which basically for most people, meaning racists, is Black. So DEI equals black in a lot of these people's mind. So, finding ways to educate the populace at large around African American studies, African American history, because it is American and world history, full stop. So this is just another way that this type of material is getting out. People are being educated, and it's being done in a way that's engaging and kind of drawing people in to receive the information. I think is great.
I'm conflicted.
Okay.
Only because it's on TikTok. And I'm conflicted because one of the reasons, for those who don't know, we talked in the pre-show and I talked about my quote unquote Black History Month pledge. And one of those pledges, and this is not a bias thing, one of my pledges is to log out of all social media apps that are not Black owned for the month of February, which means TikTok. So, personally, I won't be able to partake, because of my pledge, number one. Number two, TikTok and its arrangement, involvement, whatever you want to say as it relates to this administration, I feel some kind of way. So I feel like by these educators, and it's so sad, by these educators, by these people putting this on TikTok, it's like you're doing TikTok a favor, right? But on the other hand, the reason why I'm not conflicted is my first thought was, well, this needs to be on a Black owned app because it's something we made. The powers that be are going to, whatever the things that happen when we make stuff, right? That's not our property.
They get colonized.
Right.
Yeah.
Whatever the things that happen, right? So why can't this be on a Black thing? Because it's something we can control it. We don't have to do whatever the things to make it fit mainstream, right? But we don't need this education. The people who need this education are the people who are on TikTok. And one of the things we have to stop doing is preaching to the choir, right? No. This goes on some other Black owned platform, whatever the case may be, is good because we made it, we control it. But the stuff that is mainly behind this is, like you mentioned, the stuff is getting scrubbed from American history. So how these young kids now learn is on social media. If you're scrubbing it off the regular media, then put it on social media. It fits well there. And the people who need to see it will see it versus it being anyplace else. They may not come. So the fact that it is on mainstream social media, the fact that it will get millions and millions of eyeballs, is where it needs to be, because those are the people who need to hear it, because there are people, grown as all get outdoors and don't know the first thing about Black history, and
these are Black folks.
I'm talking
Black folks
too, but mainly because we hear the story. I've seen news article upon news clip upon media interview, people, white folks who feel like, oh, what can I do? Their first response typically is, well, I didn't know about that until, they never taught that to me in school, and my thing is, it's like, well, don't you see that as a problem? Not necessarily just now I understand, now I can have access to that stuff, but where's the before? Nobody cares about the, why can't I get this now? Right. So, the answer to that has to be in their face. And the only way it's in their face is if it's on that phone on TikTok, because that's where everybody is.
Yep. I choose to, because it's a double-edged sword, because I think I saw somewhere someone said that some white lady was trying to trademark HillmanTok. And I was like, oh God. And it's one of those things where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to take the positive parts of this. I'm going to focus on that, because otherwise I would lose my freaking mind, because it always seems to get perverted somehow. So I'm going to be grateful for the fact that unfortunately, there are a lot of Black people, especially Black kids, who didn't get the education that we got, that didn't have the cultural, that didn't have like the cultural things we were coming up, whether it be church, whether it be after school programs, whether it just be community things that we were all engaged in. A lot of those things don't exist today. And so a lot of our kids are missing out on that type of engagement. And this is the way that they learn it. This is the way sometimes their parents learn it, because you have people, well, I don't care about that race stuff. That doesn't mean anything to me. That's, way back then. And, you have those sentiments from people. So if this is a way that it can be introduced to a Black kid who didn't know about, some of our, leaders, our innovators across industry, if this is their introduction, if this is their way to get that information, then again,
and for white people too. I advocate that white people who always make the excuse, well, they never taught this in school. Well, they teaching it to you on TikTok. So what's your excuse now?
And you on TikTok. Yeah.
And you on TikTok.
You're there.
Don't pretend
it's in your face. It's
like
trending.
You're not on TikTok, because you are, because we know you are, because we're on it too.
Yeah.
So now what's the excuse?
You don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's head on into the hookup for our tech tip of the week.
All right. Like Nica mentioned in our pre-show, there's a lot of stuff going on this weekend, specifically, primarily the Super Bowl. The halftime performer this year is Kendrick Lamar, and Apple has, of course, recognized this, because you can't open up Apple Music and not see Kendrick Lamar's face all over the app. But Apple has taken it a step further and decided to create several 5 workouts on Apple Fitness Plus that feature Kendrick Lamar playlists. So, of course, you have to be a Apple Fitness Plus subscriber, whether it be separately Apple Fitness or the whole iCloud Plus.
And the bundle.
Once you subscribe to that, then you'll be able to do these 5 workouts while listening to Kendrick Lamar tracks before you eat all of those wings and drink all the spirits.
Nice. And Kendrick is doing the halftime show, so it's feeding into it's all in the ecosystem. So you got time for your workout this week, hit up maybe one of these Kendrick Lamar workouts. Yep. With that being said, it's going to wrap up the show for this week. We definitely want to thank each of you for tuning into our 300 episode. Brother Tech, where can the people find you?
Sure. You can find me all over the internet. Well, let me not say all over the internet. You can find me where you can find me at Brother Tech. That's BROTHATECH.
And you can find me at Tech Savvy Diva pretty much everywhere. All right. As far as our show, you can follow us at SnobOScast on all the social media platforms as well. You can also head on over to our website, snoboscast.com. Over there, you can connect with us, you can comment, you can share, you can support the show, and get all of those details right there. And with that being said, we're going to wrap up the show. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.